Now to breaking news out of Tel Aviv, where several people are missing after a crane collapsed onto a building. Part of the building has caved in. At least 10 people are being treated for injuries and 9 have reportedly been trapped by the debris. Let's go live now to Greg Karlstrom, who joins us in Tel Aviv. Greg, I understand this has only just happened and details are quite sketchy, but what more do we know about the victims, both those who have been sent to hospital and also the people who are still trapped under the rubble?
Well, like you said, this has happened just in the past hour or so. What we know so far is that paramedics have pulled these 10 people from the rubble. At least one of them is said to be in serious condition, according to the Israeli ambulance service. The fear is that more people are trapped underground. This is a construction crane that landed on a parking garage, and from the photos we've seen from the site, it's taken out the roof of the garage and then knocked down about 3 stories and trapped all 3 of those stories beneath a pile of rubble. Authorities say they've received phone calls from at least 2 people who are trapped inside, so obviously there are some survivors who are alive. But in terms of the condition of the potentially dozens of people who are trapped down there, we still don't know much at this point.
As you say, there's potentially dozens of people. We have about 11 confirmed still under that rubble. Talk us through the particular area this happened in, whether it is a busy street.
Well, it happened in a part of North Tel Aviv, a pretty upscale area in North Tel Aviv. It's home to a lot of international companies, high-tech firms. There's a major hospital located not too far away. So it is a busy area. Police have asked people to stay away while they try to do search and rescue operations. We've also heard the Israeli army has been called in to help with this. They train for building collapses in case a building is hit by a rocket during a war or bombed. So they do drills every few months on how to do search and rescue inside of a collapsed building. And so they've been brought in apparently with bulldozers and rescue dogs and other equipment. But again, it is a busy area. And the problem really is that this was a subterranean garage to begin with that was hit. So when the crane went down and went through the roof and went through these stories of the parking garage, not only did it pile rubble on top of the people trapped inside, but they were underground to begin with. And so Israeli authorities are saying that's really what's complicating the rescue effort, is the fact that this was a subterranean structure from the start.
A very concerning situation for those people trapped under the rubble and, of course, their families. Now, as you mentioned, the military is trained for these kind of things in case a rocket attack hits a building. One doesn't expect a crane to collapse on a building. Now, I know that you're a journalist, not an engineer, but is there any more details on how exactly this crane did collapse or why that occurred?
There aren't any extra details yet. We're going to have to wait, I'm sure, for an investigation on that. It's a calm day here. It's not a windy day. It certainly doesn't seem that it can be related to weather. And building standards are also generally quite high in Israel. The last major disaster like this happened in 2001 when a wedding hall collapsed in West Jerusalem. It killed about 24 people. And they found out after the fact that the hall had not been built to support the hundreds of people who typically came out to a wedding ceremony. But aside from that, there have not really been any major large-scale building disasters in this country in the past 2 decades. So again, authorities certainly will be carrying out an investigation in the days and weeks to come into how this crane collapsed.
And we will be watching those very closely. Greg Karlstrom in Tel Aviv, thanks for joining us.